to discuss a problem that may or may not impact you, but it is common enough that I see that I want to go through how MSPs can deal with it when you're working with HaloPSA. The scenario that I'm talking about is when you've got a single customer with more than one location that requires, for whatever reason, you to break each location out to its own independent client. A common case for this would be where you would have two business entities or multiple business entities, and each one needs to be invoiced separately, going up to the accounting package. So with Halo, you are able to do invoicing per site, but if they need each invoice to be assigned to a specific business entity within your accounting package, then it doesn't really work for you because you cannot map or assign a site to client in QuickBooks or Xero or something like that. It's got to be client to client. So the only way to do something like this would be to actually break them out independently as different clients within Halo. The question that often comes up with this is that now that you've broken them out, how is someone from corporate, so to speak, managing tickets across the different child locations? And so this is what I'm going to show you on this video. And I'm going to go through creating linked contacts and how it actually works. So let me go ahead and share my screen. This one, I think. We're going to close that tab. Okay, so in this case, for example, we see right now we've got one client per site. We've got one site per client. We're going to go ahead and say, you know what, Terry's Chocolates has been doing really well. Terry's Chocolates is going to open up 2 branches. One of them is going to be, let's say, in Maryland, and the other one is going to be in New York. So we're going to go here, and we are going to create the customer under the Details tab. Ignore the screen layout because I kind of customized it, and I completely forgot I did that in this instance. So just pretend that doesn't exist, and it's the normal create new client screen. And we're just going to go ahead and create Terry's Chocolates, and we'll say New York, and we'll put this into our top level of areas, and we're just going to save that client. Oh, we need to populate and make contact. So excuse me, for this site, we'll say that the main contact name is going to be, let's say, Brandon Lewis at Terry's Chocolates New York.com or something like that. I have no idea if I'm spelling it correctly. It's not really the point. And we're going to go back and we're going to make another one, and we'll say this one is going to be in Maryland, and we'll say Terry's Chocolates Maryland. Let's add that hyphen, and we'll say we're in areas and scroll down to our main contact. And for this, we will say his name is James Jackson, with James at Terry's Chocolates MD.com. Cool. All right, so now we've got 3 clients, Terry's Chocolates, one with an apostrophe. We're going to come back and we're going to rename this to be something else. We're going to say, you know what, this is now corporate. Okay, and so now we've got 3 different locations. Corporate has their own network, their own building, their own support that we're doing. We've got New York and Maryland. We've got primary contacts under each. What happens if we have a user here, Terrence Ash, who decides, you know what, like I need to be able to make tickets for Maryland or New York. I need to be able to see what those tickets are. How do we get that kind of connection to work? So just to show you, if I come here and I go into tickets, we'll make a new ticket and we'll say something like incident where Microsoft 365 is not registering in my Outlook. No license. License is not activating or something like that. I can't type. License is not activating. Wow. Activating, and therefore Outlook is in limited mode or something like that, right? So we'll say that's one issue that we have for him, and we can go back and say we want this to go under Brandon Lewis, right? So that's now Brandon's ticket, and we can go back into Maryland, and we'll put this guy under the other contact that we created. Who knows what his name was? James Jackson, and we'll go and create a ticket here where we'll say something like, sound isn't working, I can't attend any video calls, and we'll go ahead and save this. So now we've got 2 tickets created. We've got a ticket under each type of client. I forgot to set the context, so we're going to do it again. Jackson, James Jackson, perfect. And so now we've got, if we look at the client's overview, we've got 1 ticket here, we've got 1 ticket here, we've got 3 tickets under corporate. And now Terrence wants to log in and be able to see the tickets under each of those areas. I'm going to log into Maryland first, and we're going to use a concept called impersonate user to be able to log in as James Jackson. And I'm just going to hit no for a moment. I'm going to pop him out to a new tab, because the way that the impersonation works is that it will always take you back out into a tab that you're not expecting, or modernrm.com. That's the wrong password. Great. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so when you impersonate a user, it'll take you to the portal login page, and it will request that you sign into the portal. You can use your own login. Every agent is also a user. You can use your own login to access the portal. And if you're impersonating someone, it'll tell you, welcome, James. I can see that I'm impersonating him up here. I've got the bar to log back out over here, and so on. So now if I go to my issues and requests, I'll see my 1 ticket that under James to see that sound isn't working, and so on. But I don't have a way to go and see tickets from another site or a different level or anything like that. If I log out of here and flip back, so it's going to take me back to his user. If I go to, let's say, Terrence, for example, and I impersonate his user, which it may or may not work. You may have to clear your cookies in between. Nope, this is working. Perfect. We can see the example service announcement, which is specifically for Terrence. I come in here and I look at all tickets, and I can see that I've got laptop won't boot. But I know that there's 3 open tickets for Terrence. If we go back to the client list, we've got 3 open tickets for Terry's Chocolates. So I want Terrence to see all the tickets, and I want Terrence to see all tickets across all 3 sites. So let's work on the first problem. Let me just get out of his account again, and we'll take a look at his permissions. Now, these permissions can be set by role. So if we were to assign a user role over here to be client admin or client owner or something like that, we can go ahead and save that role. And now these permissions will be set based off of the role. And so these are roles that we have created out of the box, not really relevant to the specific demo, so we won't go into them, but I'm going to go back and impersonate his user again. We may have to log him out and log him back in, but let's see how this works. We go to my issues and requests and go to all tickets, and now I can see all of the tickets that exist, 2,102, all for Terry's Chocolate. That is a lot of example closed tickets. Let's see if we can find something that's not closed. I guess we can sort by status, right? No. Let's see, we get open tickets, client tickets. That's interesting that it's not showing me any. Let's go look at those open tickets and find out what these are. Hold on 1 second. Terry's Chocolate, project tasks. These are projects. That's why they're not visible. So yeah, okay. Let's go back to the home page here and see if we can look at. Well, it's not really relevant. Here, let's just go in here and let's modify this type of ticket real quick. We're going to override this to become an incident. And we'll go back to the other 2 tickets, and we're just going to make them all incidents for the purposes of this demonstration. I probably should have checked that first instead of relying on the ones that were already existing. Let's go back here, and this is fine. The 2 tickets should be enough. So let's go back here and look at my issues and requests, and now I've got 2 open tickets that exist. Okay, so I can see tickets for people that are not me. I can see tickets throughout corporate, but I still can't necessarily see for all of the other sites or clients or anything like that, right? I just see those 2 tickets and all the ones that are closed for this one client. So how do we now get this to be able to be visible across multiple other clients, which is what I really wanted to focus on for this call. So the way this works is by using something called a linked user. A linked user is something that you can set underneath the user itself. So if you look at Terrence's account here, and we go back to his preferences, we have a linked user here. And so we can edit that, and we can see that it's linked right now. I'm going to clear that for a moment. And now it's linked to no user. There's none is the linked user. Now, before we get into before we actually get into showing how this works, there's an important thing that we need to cover about this linked user. I can only choose one, but the relationship is upstream, not downstream. So what will happen is, let's say like this. I want to give Terrence the ability to see tickets inside of the client, Terry's Chocolate New York. So we're going to go to Terry's Chocolate New York, and I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to create a new user, and I'm just going to say his name is Terrence Ash. If I can spell it, who knows? And I'm not going to put anything else here. I'm leaving it blank. The only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change his role to say he is a client owner. Okay, and I'm going to see users active and save. Oh, I got to choose a site. Okay, my bad. We're going to choose a site and then save. All right, so now I don't have the rights to impersonate his account because there's no email address. So I can't impersonate the account. There's no login, right? The permissions are set here based off of the role. I can change this to whatever I want. We'll get into that in a little bit. Right now, all I want to do is I want to edit this user, and I want to link this user up to the other Terrence. So I'm going to search for Terrence, and I'm going to link him to the corporate account and save. All right. So this is what I mean by it's upstream, not downstream. We're going to go from the users that are in the individual clients and sites, and we're going to link them up to the main contact at corporate at that point. Now that I've linked the user, I still can't impersonate or anything like that, but I can go back to Terrence's account here, and I can impersonate Terrence's account. And what will happen is, because I'm now linked, I should be able to see tickets for all of the sites. I got New York and corporate. And notice I now have 3 available, including one for Brandon Lewis, as opposed to 2, because the third one under the corporate site is still a project. And so this is basically how it works. Now I want to say, well, I also want to give him access to the other one. That's fine, no problem. I'm going to go to Maryland, and I'm going to say, hey, we're going to create a user under Maryland, and we're going to say that user is Terrence Ash. Terrence Ash, and we're going to put him in this site. And I'm just going to set the role to be the role for client owner, so I can see everything. And I'm going to hit save. And now I'm going to come back here. I'm going to log out and log back in. Oh, I got to link the user. One more thing before I do that. I'm going to go into the Terrence Ash that we created here, and I'm going to go ahead and go to preferences, and I'm going to link him to the user for corporate, right? And so now we've got 2 users that, again, going up, are linking into the corporate account. So this is how it's going to work. We're going to go ahead and go back into the corporate user. We're going to impersonate the user again. And now if we go look at my issues and requests, I should be able to see all of the tickets from Maryland, New York, and corporate. So if I go look at Maryland, I have that sound isn't working. If I got to New York, I've got the Microsoft 365 is not working. And if I go to corporate, I've got the 2 tickets that are there. If I look at all, I can see all of them right here. And that is basically it. That is a very simple concept. It's not well known. It's not a well-known thing. And so even if you talk to support or on a community, like most people are going to say, well, you can only link one user. You really can't do it across multiple sites. The answer is you can. It's upstream, not downstream. The other thing about it is that you can restrict access in the individual companies within each linked user. And that way they'll only be given the access that they need for each one. An important thing is, let's say they're not an owner. Let's say they're just a regular user. So I can go back, let me log out of Terrence, and say Terrence is not the owner of the company. He's just the IT contact from corporate. And so he should have the ability to see all of the tickets for all the underlying sites, but he should not have the ability to see tickets beyond his own within corporate. So I'm going to come into Terrence and I'm going to say, we'll just go to permissions. We're going to flip him back, actually. We're going to remove his client owner role and just put him back to standard user and save. And now all the permissions will flip back to this user only. And I'm going to go ahead and impersonate his account. And we're going to see the same exact thing that we saw before, with a difference of I can no longer see tickets under corporate main because I don't have any. But if I go to Maryland or New York, I can see those. If I go to all tickets, I can see all of them because I have the rights within each of those clients to see those tickets. The same thing can work in reverse. If you only want to give access to specific tickets or specific things within the individual sites, we can do that on the end, the far end, the linked user side, change the permissions, and then they will only be given access to the level of access that each linked user is supposed to have. It's a really cool system, a little bit clunky, and it was difficult to figure out that we could do it that way. But it's actually really helpful in situations where you would have more than one client for different sites or different locations or whatever. And you want to be able to have one person from one place logging in with a single account to be able to access across multiple different clients or sites at that point. I hope this is helpful. Let me know what your comments are. Again, this was a quick video. And yeah, let me know what else you may want to hear and see. Thanks for watching.